Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Sarah Sunstone, and today we finally get to meet all of the Coral Island Townies. I really want to show these characters some serious love in today's video, as I definitely have noticed that the dateables are getting the most attention by far, which is completely understandable. I mean, have you seen them? I mean, you can date them, you can marry them. Of course they're getting more attention. However, we should keep in mind that we will also be building relationships and gaining friendship hearts with all of the residents of Coral Island. And I'm sure there will be many advantages and rewards to getting to know the various townsfolk. So without any further ado, let's jump right into it. We're gonna start off with the wildlife enthusiast family. I think it's amazing that they love the wildlife and they're into animals and all of that. It just fits their appearance so well, and I feel like enthusiast is almost an understatement somehow. So first up, we're gonna meet Anne. Anne makes a living by filming wildlife documentaries around the island, so I wonder if we'll be tasked with finding a certain creature on the island for her. On the weekends, she enjoys spending time at the beach playing volleyball. She likes carrots with hummus to snack on and enjoys a cup of hot green tea to start her days. Next up is Paul, which is Anne's husband, and Paul seems to live a very similar life to his wife Anne. He spends the weekdays attempting to capture footage of the Coral Island wildlife, especially near the lake area, so maybe you can find him around there. And he does also enjoy playing volleyball at the beach with his family on weekends. I'd really like to know what sets Paul apart from his wife and what his own unique likes and dislikes are. Last up in the wildlife enthusiast family is Zoe. Zoe is Anne and Paul's daughter, and she attends Starlight Elementary during the week, spending her weekends following her dad around. A big surprise, she also enjoys playing volleyball, but some things that do set her apart from her parents, sort of, is that she loves bird watching specifically, so she has that in common with Millie, and she also loves winters. So I'm thinking that's because that's when her birthday is, and I know when you're a kid, your birthday month is like your favorite month or your favorite season. Next up is the Carpenter Family. So we've seen the Carpenter family's house actually in the recent update, and this is where you'll go to purchase materials and various building upgrades for your farm. First up in this family is Dinda, and aside from being a carpenter, Dinda enjoys tending to her herb garden, which I think is so amazing. I love growing herbs. Specifically dill and mint are my two absolute favorites. She also cooks and takes part in many community activities such as yoga on Saturdays. I love that. I feel like I'm really gonna get along with Dinda, and maybe she can even introduce us to some recipes that we can make. We've actually seen Dinda's spring outfit, which is amazing. I love seeing sneak peeks at the seasonal fashions. Next up is Joko, who is Dinda's husband. He is also a carpenter living on the hillside with his family. He spends much of his time after work as a mentor to his son Archie. He teaches him many skills such as fishing and pumpkin carving. And that brings us to their son Archie. Sweet little Archie. He loves animals. He can be found at the vineyard playing with Taco the dog when he's not in school. He aspires to become a vet one day, and he enjoys Mexican food as well as bugs. We can see both Mexican food and bugs in his bedroom interior. He also loves stray animals around town, and I'm wondering if that's why it seems the family might have a food or water dish out front of their house in the old render of the building. And just another connection that we can make here is that Surya is actually cousin to Archie, nephew to Joko and Dinda, and lives with the three of them. Next up is Betty. She used to actually run the tavern, which is the island pub, with her late husband Frank Sr., which I believe means that her husband has sadly passed away, if I'm interpreting that correctly. I think if she ran a tavern, she must be pretty tough and pretty cool, honestly. Now that she's retired, she spends her days refilling bird feeders, educating the children about coral reefs, and baking patisseries. Betty just sounds so lovely. She's a mother to Noah and Frank, and she actually does still live at the local tavern. Next is Brie. She is a model turned housewife and spends her days doing quality control for the vineyard. Does this mean that she's constantly taste testing beer and wine? I won't judge. She is a homemaker. She enjoys cooking fancy gourmet meals and throwing parties. It is stated in her bio that she should be in her late 40s. However, her age is actually a mystery. Next up is Walter, who is Brie's husband. The two of them own and reside at the Hillside Brewery and Vineyard. They supply local establishments with their goods. However, they export most of their alcoholic beverages abroad. In Walter's free time, he likes to watch the sports channel, and that's about all we know about him. I'm not big on the sports channel, all, but you know, we all have our things. Another connection here is that Luke is their adult son, and this is the family that owns the dog named Taco. Next up is Connor, who is the Coral Island town mayor. He used to run his own general store actually before he ever decided to run for office, and he absolutely loves Coral Island. He knows everyone who lives there, and I imagine that he's in charge of many of the community events and projects, and I'm predicting that he will likely be one of the first to introduce themselves to you once you get settled on the island. Next is Dipa. Dipa spends their day looking for inspiration and painting around the island. They seem to be more on the introverted side, as they do not like nights out and are putting those days behind them. They are actually the first and only known non-binary character. Remember, we still have those 4 new mystery characters, so there could be another one on the horizon. This is also one character in particular whose other seasonal outfits I am so excited to see, as they appear to have a very cool fashion sense, or at least one that I personally really like. Dipa is actually married to Emma, who is up next. Emma lives with Dipa in their cottage behind Emma's taco truck. And here, Emma sells homemade Mexican food, which she makes using local ingredients found around the forest and also purchased from local farmers. I love that, and I would also love to know a little bit more about Emma and her personal interests outside of work. Maybe tacos are her life, but I feel like there's a little bit more to her than what's on the surface. Next is Sam. Sam owns Sam's General Store. No way. He does spend his day off relaxing at home. Seems like he's pretty busy if he only has one day off. He enjoys home-cooked meals and working on puzzles. On the rare occasion that he does go out, he visits the beach shack to catch up with his friends and play some chess. He's actually married to Emily, and the two of them live together above the general store. So speaking of Emily, this lovely lady is up next. She has a heart for vintage items, but thinks that mushrooms are disgusting. Her and Sam have been wanting to start a family ever since getting married. However, they've been unsuccessful, which makes my heart so sad. She is a hairdresser by day and actually reminds me a lot of my real life hairdresser, like pretty spot on to be honest, both appearance and personality wise from what we know about her. She does run this salon with Erica. So next up is Miss Erica, and when Erica is not working at the salon, she may be volunteering at Starlet Elementary, or you can find her around town lending her ear to those in need. She is very honest and will tell it to you like it is. And I think we all need a friend like Erica, who's sweet and willing to listen, but will also just, you know, be honest and give you that advice that you need. It might be hard for you to hear, but you need it. She also loves all sorts of jam, and she's married to Frank. Frank runs a tavern with his brother Noah and actually spends most of his time there trying out new recipes. Him and Erica are actually high school sweethearts, which is very impressive to me, and they live at number 2 Parkview with their 2 cats, Peanut and Butter, the sweetest. I'm not sure why I zeroed in on this, but in Erica's bio, it said that she would perhaps be a good candidate to marry if she weren't already married to Frank. That just stood out for me because I don't know why that was included specifically for Erica, but not for anyone else in a relationship. It just sparked a thought of wonder in me if any of the existing couples on Coral Island will end up separating in the storyline while you're playing through. Will a non-romanceable become a romanceable at some point in the game? Or are these couples all soulmates? Just some food for thought. Next up is Jack. Now, Jack is built, I gotta say. He would intimidate me so much in real life. Jack works as the island's rancher, he takes care of animals, and he spends his days managing the shop supplies. If there are any days where he's short-stocked, the ranch will actually close early. So this is definitely where you'll be going to purchase livestock and related supplies and equipment. His hobbies include watching cooking shows and experimenting in the kitchen. I feel like that could be a really good or a really bad thing, especially with a guy like Jack. But no judgments, you know, he might be like a very skilled chef and I'm just not expecting it. He lives in a cabin in the forest with his wife Kira, who we will meet next. Kira is actually a retired huntress and lives self-sustainably, which is goals. Are you kidding me? If I'm interpreting it correctly, I'm assuming that means that she's growing her own food, using renewable energy, you know, like solar panels, collecting rainwater. She's at a place where if, you know, the whole grid shut down, she'd be be good to go. And that is seriously one of my biggest goals in life. So I admire that. Although she's retired, she spends her days keeping watch of the forest from the comfort of her cabin. It's noted that she's always wearing her combat boots just in case any monsters escape from the mines. We don't want those on the loose. She also enjoys practicing yoga and playing the flute, like her son Kenny. And one thing I noticed about Kira is that it actually looks as if she may have some battle scars or something on her wrist, if you can see here. She looks super tough. I would not want to mess with either her or her husband Jack. No way. I would accept their protection though. Next up is Jim, who is a retired fisherman and has passed on both his boat and his trade to Theo, which apparently he's indifferent towards. Not Theo, but the fact that Theo is now fishing on his previous boat. Now, Jim has received quite a bit of hate about this, and it is interesting to me. I would imagine that most parents would be super stoked if their kids would take over the family business, and sometimes that excitement is even misdirected into pressure, like in the instance of Luke, where he's trying to make his own name away from the family business and he doesn't like that pressure of taking over the vineyard. So in some ways it's almost good that Jim didn't seem to pressure Theo into this path. However, it does seem that he might be a little bit salty, but I want to give him the benefit of the doubt just because I like to believe the best in all people, and I'm wondering if maybe he just misses being, you know, like the island fisherman, or maybe he doesn't really know who he is outside of what he used to do. He's almost a little bit jealous that Theo's kind of taken on that role. It's almost like he's not needed anymore, you know, in the same way. So I could see that there's a lot of variables that go into why he would act that way. Now, Lily is his daughter, and the trio, so him, Theo, and Lily, all live together at number 2 Main Avenue. Now that Jim has so much time on his hands being retired, he spends lots of his days making really good smoked salmon and also helps run the beach shack with Sunny. Sunny loves boats, classic rock bands, and thinks that vegan cheese is the best invention since sliced bread. And I have to say that if you find the right vegan cheese, I completely and wholeheartedly agree with you, Sunny. When Sunny's not running the beach shack where he also lives, he's taking his son Oliver to school. Oliver enjoys surfing in his free time. When he's done with his homework, he enjoys watching reruns of his favorite TV show about a Japanese boy solving murder mysteries. Next on the list is Ling. Ling spends her days working as a marine biologist at the Coral Island lab. She's dedicated her entire life to studying coral reefs and learning how to make them more resistant to rising ocean temperatures. I'm assuming that this will be a crucial component of our role in helping out the restoration process while we're diving. During Ling's time off, she knits cold weather accessories such as beanies and scarves. She's married to Randy, who's up next. Randy is a full-time elementary teacher, and he has a remarkable ability of explaining complex ideas in a very simple and easy to understand manner. When Randy isn't teaching, he can be found at the vineyard enjoying some wine with his wife Ling or reading at the library. He lives in the Victorian mansion with Ling and his daughter Leah, who is stepdaughter to Ling. He actually has a prosthetic arm, which is so awesome and inclusive. Now, last but certainly not least is precious little Valentina. This is Suki's daughter, and I just can't wait to see some art of the two of them together. Valentina enjoys surfing, although she's not very good at it yet, but she does spend a lot of time practicing, so this girl must be determined. She practices a lot, especially during the summer when Nina, who is her mom's very close friend, is in town visiting. She also enjoys hot chocolate and tea parties. Alice is her aunt, while Pablo and Rafael are her loving uncles. And now you know what time it is. Let's take a look at today's amazing fan art. Today we have some fabulous artwork of Dipa, created by Nubifera. They told me that they were so excited to see a legit non-binary character and that this was so validating for them. They really wanted to celebrate it by creating fan art. I just love everything about this. Thank you so much, Nubifera, for sharing this and your beautiful art. There you have it, friends. This is everything that we know so far about all of the Coral Island Townies. I think this information is so useful for keeping track of where we might be likely to find the characters on the island, what sort of gifts they might appreciate, and what they might be able to provide for us. Before I leave you today, I just wanted to say a massive thank you from the very bottom of my heart for all of your support on my channel. I just reached 500 subscribers and I'm so overwhelmed. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. It truly means the world. As always, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Let me know which townie you're most excited to meet on Coral Island. You guys are so amazing. I love you all so much. And until next time, take care.